But the key here is that you're working on legislation, either directly, that is contacting members of Congress or at the state capitol yourself, or grassroots lobbying. You're asking neighbors, family, et cetera, to join you in reaching out to legislators.
And are encouraging people to step up and stand up for health centers at critical times. And we alert folks, and your state associations alert folks, primary care associations alert folks is really important. And I think that sometimes we think about advocacy as something that's transactional, that NAC or your primary care association sends an action and says, now's the time to stand up. And we absolutely will do that. We will send alerts at times like right now, times like these that are urgent. The other part about advocacy that's important to me is that every time we are somewhere where there may be someone who's invested in our health center, an elected official, whether they're local, state, county, that we are speaking to them saying, this matters to me, that advocacy really is a way of life. It's a way of being. I was volunteering with my daughter's Girl Scout troop at Mary Center on Saturday. And so I learned that one of our council members had introduced legislation to expand Medicaid to cover home health services costs, Jackie. And so I just right there took a video of myself with the Mary Center logo in the back and said thank you to that member of Congress, and posted on my social media feed and tagged her. So to me, advocacy is not just these calls to action like we're doing right now, but it is about building community, encouraging other people to join us and standing up for 31.5 million patients.
Absolutely. And, I'm sure everyone on this webinar is, familiar with the many walks of life and community that we get an opportunity to brag about the amazing work that we are doing, and never feel shy about that. That you never know when that other person will have an opportunity to advocate on our collective behalf. And there are many times I've educated friends in so many different places about health centers. Gee, what's a health center? Oh my gosh, my daughter is going to college and doesn't know where to make an appointment with a clinician. And I immediately, literally look it up and tell her where the nearest health center is. So we have so many ways and so many opportunities on a day-to-day basis to advocate.
I imagine that there's some people here saying, well, Jackie's an attorney. She knows the law backwards and forwards. I'm not an attorney, but I do this is my full-time job. So I get to be here and know and spend time talking with you and learning from you. Sometimes people can be nervous about advocating because they feel like they have to be an expert about health centers. And my experience, our story is as much expertise as we need, right? Because we're talking about our experience with the health center and why we value the health center. The parameters, the legal guidance is what we need to be aware of. But in terms of how to advocate and what we say to those decision makers really is very personal.
Well, and stories are everything. For those of you that have ever come to my incredibly boring legal trainings, you know that the way I keep you awake is by telling you the stories, whether it's worst case scenarios or best case scenarios. Legislators learn by stories as well. That's what they'll remember. They're not going to remember necessarily that you're asking for 4.2 billion versus 4.3 billion, although you do want to go in armed with the factual information. But it's the stories that really stick with them. Just don't use patient names and identifying information.